I'd like to share with you some thoughts and suggestions about Step 2. Step 2 says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Most people come to AA reluctantly and with skepticism, so don't be surprised if you are feeling that way right now. Even if you've taken Step 1, it is difficult to admit that you need some kind of power beyond yourself to do this. You know, if you plant a seed in rich soil and provide water and sunshine, it'll grow and flourish into what it was intended to be. That seed is using powers beyond itself to grow. Try holding the seed in your hand and see if it grows. If it doesn't grow, that means there are powers greater than you. When you go to an AA meeting, that group of people collectively represent a higher power than you alone. So, this step says that the people that you will see at the meetings that are able to stay sober for extended periods of time are doing so because they do believe they need some kind of power that's bigger than their own self-will, ego, self-discipline, self-reliance, or intellect. By working this program, they have found a power greater than themselves that works. How do you think they're staying sober? Do you believe that the 12-step members who are working the program have accepted a God of their own understanding? Do you think you can go to 12-step meetings and at least believe that the members there at the meeting have found a higher power that is keeping them sober? Are you willing to go to meetings and at least hang out with people who are sober because they have found some kind of higher power of their understanding? This whole thing about higher power can be extremely difficult for some people. The AA-approved book called The 12 Steps and 12 Traditions describes some of these stumbling blocks. Are you belligerent? Does the idea of believing in a higher power threaten your whole philosophy of life? Right now you simply won't believe, so maybe you're wondering if it's possible for you to have any success in the program based on your current beliefs. Well, first of all, the 12-step program does not demand you believe in anything. These are just suggestions. You don't have to accept all the components of Step 2 all at once. You just have to be willing to be around people who have been able to do this and learn how they did it. Quit debating whether Step 2 works or not and just observe the fact that there are people at every 12-step meeting who are living examples that Step 2 works for them. Stop trying to figure out why it works. The 12-step program does not purport to tell you why the program works, but it does intend to tell you how it works. Just keep an open mind. That's all that's required. And when you do this, the truths of the program will slowly become a part of your life. Look, if you're having trouble with making God your higher power, just make the 12-step program and your 12-step group your higher power right now. The cumulative brains in the room can resolve problems that you can't resolve on your own. Many members of the 12-step program have started the program just this way. Did you practice your faith in God once but lost it? Maybe it's your reliance on self-sufficiency that has cut you off from your higher power. Have you become defiant and angry at God because He or she has failed to fulfill your demands? Your state of confusion about the whole issue is probably a good thing, because when you're confused, you may be more willing to accept suggestions and direction. Or perhaps you are the one who is disgusted with religion. You've seen hypocrisy, bigotry, and self-righteousness in some who claim to have a close relationship with God. And so, you have generalized that most people who claim to have a relationship with God are not what they claim to be. Perhaps you tried religion and it failed you. Or maybe sometime years ago you had an experience with organized religion that was very negative. You know, pointing out the shortcomings of others is not going to move you along towards sobriety, and it allows you to avoid looking at your own character defects. Then there's the intellectually self-sufficient person. Is this you? The God of intellect and education has become your higher power. You know, you could be too smart for your own good. False pride and the arrogance that comes with believing in your own intellectual superiority is guaranteed to be a barrier against your recovery. If education and intellect were the solution to your addiction, you wouldn't be searching for a way to control your drinking or addiction problem now, would you? One of the defining characteristics of alcoholics and addicts is defiance. But if you keep your eyes and ears open at these meetings, you will see that it is reliance that keeps us sober, not defiance. How else can an addict remain sober while dealing with the pains and trials of life? Now, what if you're the one who has faith in God, but you still cannot stop drinking or stop your addiction? Okay, so you believe in God and you make pledges to God, imploring His help if He will just make you stop your drinking and your addiction. You can't control it, so you think your faith is not working, right? Well, what do you think the problem is? Don't make the mistake of wallowing in emotionalism and believing that that's the same thing as a healthy relationship with God. If you keep working the 12-step program, you will see in step 4 through 11 where your problem lies, and it's not with God, it's with you. Okay, what about the second half of step 2 where it talks about restoring us to sanity? Well, Bill Wilson collected ideas and suggestions from the early members of the AA program, and he wrote the 12 steps. And when he used the term sanity in step 2, he was implying that we demonstrated behaviors that were insane, right? Well, this is what he meant when he used the term. He was basically referring to soundness of mind. You already know one example of insanity: stopping alcohol or stopping your addiction for some brief period of time on your own, and then starting back again, knowing full well the damage it's going to cause in your life. That's crazy. That's insane. Some have described insanity as trying the same thing but expecting a new result. So, humility, an open mind, and faith in something bigger than yourself can begin to lay the foundation for you to work the remainder of the steps and get your alcoholism or addiction into remission. If you don't have a sponsor yet, get one this week at one of the 12-step meetings. Just ask someone at the meeting, how do I get a sponsor? You may have already seen or heard someone at the meeting that you attended that you were drawn to because of the quality of their sobriety. That may be the very person you could ask. You've got to have a sponsor or you're not going to be able to work the 12-step program. At this point in your effort toward recovery, you ought to be talking with your sponsor almost every day, and you need to be attending 12-step meetings every day if possible. Experience has shown that newcomers do best if they follow these 2 simple suggestions. Just remember that the 12-step meetings are filled with people who were confused just like you in the beginning. But if you'll just keep working the steps, the answers you're looking for will come.